Yeah, so the question is, speaking to the modularity of it and pulling in these different files, you still get the add import, is that what you mean? Yeah, so by using less, you're not really giving up some of the built-in CSS abilities that you get. You can still do add import. You can, write your CSS as normal, I guess you could say. Now, you can actually chain less than CSS files if you want to do that too. So you could, for instance, if you have a reset file, and so if you want to call the reset file before you call the less file, those, as long as you're calling those in order, they're still going to reset the browser, then call your less file, then another one if you want to call it after that. So you can call it inside of the CSS file and do add import, or you can call it externally in your document head and chain a whole bunch of CSS files together if you want.
I figure this will be easier by just talking to the microphone. Alright, so I know for a lot of enterprise deployments, these companies are looking for the ability to compile their CSS or their JavaScript. It's similar to like how you do CoffeeScript. Like it's rapid deployment for JavaScript. Is there something that you'd recommend for a company that like SaaS or less or something like that, or like a more enterprise where they want to so they don't have to include the less, but they can compile the CSS?
So what I was going to flip back to real quick is processing less locally. What you can do is I highly recommend CodeKit. There's a bunch of other ones out there like Live Rewrote and even Compass.app do similar functions. They essentially allow you to test locally, run locally, and with one click process a less file into a CSS file. And in that process, you can minify it, you can run UE, you can do all these different functions, and it'll actually, one cool thing about CodeKit, if you use CodeKit, if you're working locally, it'll do a live reload for you too. So you can make changes to your less file, save your less file, run CodeKit, and it'll refresh your browser for you, and you're not dependent on JS, and you're processing it locally. So I definitely recommend CodeKit, but also Live Rewrote and Compass. They do very similar functions. Cool. Yeah, so the question is, do you override yourself as you're working through a CSS file, or do you set everything at the top? I personally set everything at the top. I'll just talk about it. I set everything at the top, and I'm fixed. So some of the examples I showed, if I scroll back to it real quick, talked about. This is a good one. Doing border radius on the fly. In terms of you've got an element that's So what happens here is that if you call a border radius custom here, it'll automatically inject 5 pixels on each border. But say you're working with another element and you don't want to do 5 pixels. Well, you can use a mixin and a variable in the same stroke, I guess you could say. And in this footer, I'm actually going to only round the top left and top right, and then the bottom will be 0, 0. And I personally don't do that. I set my mixins on top with fixed values, so 5 pixels, 8 pixels, whatever the variables are. And usually that's because the design style doesn't change that much in the document. But if you want to do that and override yourself as you're working through, this is a good way to be fluid, flexible as you're working through a document. Anybody else? Yeah.
First of all, I'll get this presentation.
Thanks.
And second, you said evaluate for yourself. I'm totally good with this.
Yeah. I felt more comfortable with the style, I guess you could say. It's specifically between less and Sass. I like the style better of less. It's, you know, when you really get down to it technically, they're the same, about the same cost to embed. They're about the same, they have the same functions, mix-ins. Sass will do a little bit more than less, but for me, less did it all. You know, setting variables and using mix-ins, that was good enough. I know a lot of Ruby people, and if you're a Ruby person and you use Sass and Compass, I definitely want to talk to you. Like I said, you know, Sass is tied in, not necessarily highly, but it's recommended that you use Compass if you're using Sass, because there's a bunch of built-in functions with Compass. So for me, it's lightweight and it's highly customizable for my needs. So that's why I like less.
What's that ballet movie with Black Swan is like, you know, the canon, like, it records the whole thing with the canon, like, you know, 750 or whatever, like, but so what they did is, be like, here, hold this other camera. And so they would shoot, and they'd be like, okay, stop.
Yeah, so the question was when to decide when to keep the styles, keep the things that you use in your own style and your own branding and all that, versus handing it off to a client, giving it to a client to edit and work with in the future. I think it depends on the client. I can tell you the one client that we're actually going to do this for, we've had a discussion with them about it, and they have a front-end developer on staff. We said, hey, this is what we're going to use, and we were very upfront about it, and we gave that to them. You know, it might be an instance in where you're working on the files yourself for development, and you may use less, and then you say, okay, here's the final product, here you go, and then that's converted. They don't need less, they don't need anything like that. Yeah, we're just giving the CSS. So it really depends on the client and their usability. So. One quick note before I go, there are flyers down here. So Taecho Group is, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. And to kind of celebrate that, we have an open house in San Marcos. So if anybody lives down there or wants to take a trip down there, 7 o'clock Saturday, there will be beer, food. We're actually doing a silent charity auction for a couple good friends of ours. So if you're going to be down in San Marcos, 7 o'clock Saturday, definitely join us. Pick up a flyer. We'd love to have you down there. So thanks.
Thank you, Ed. Alrighty, everybody, that wraps up the speakers part of it. Now it's